Welcome back to the Deep Dive. Today, we are focusing on a factor in male fertility that's often overlooked.
So often.
But crucially, it's one of the most correctable issues in reproductive medicine. We're going deep into the science of oxidative stress and its profound damaging impact on sperm DNA. Our mission today is really to extract the proven clinical protocol that can actually reverse this damage.
And this is such a foundational conversation for anyone out there interested in maximizing fertility outcomes. This is key. We're talking about oxidative stress.
Right.
And if you need a quick mental hook, just think of it as the exact same chemical process that causes, a slice of apple on the counter to turn brown.
Or metal to rust.
Or metal to rust. It's that same idea.
That is a perfect baseline analogy. And it happens everywhere, but when it's happening inside the testes or in the seminal fluid, that's when it sets off a real imbalance.
Yes.
It creates an excessive amount of these molecules we call free radicals.
Exactly. And these free radicals they are incredibly destructive. They attack the sperm cell membranes, which hurts motility for sure.
Like the swimming.
But the absolute worst damage they do is breaking the actual DNA strands inside the sperm head. That's the blueprint.
And when that blueprint is broken, we get what's called high sperm DNA fragmentation, or SDF. This isn't a minor issue. The consequences, as our sources show, are, they're severe. High SDF is directly linked to just repeated failure.
Yeah, failed fertilization, poor embryo quality.
Recurrent miscarriage, and just much lower overall live birth rates.
And what's so important to grasp here is that this poor outcome, it persists even when couples use advanced techniques. You've heard of ICSI, right?
Intracytoplasmic sperm injection, where they inject one sperm directly into the egg.
Exactly. Even then, if the DNA is fragmented, high SDF just tanks the success rates. It might bypass a motility problem, but you can't bypass broken DNA.
So the integrity of the DNA matters so much more than just how fast the sperm can swim.
So much more.
That sounds pretty devastating. But you mentioned this is fixable, so what's the good news here?
The hugely encouraging news is the plasticity of the male reproductive system. New sperm are always being produced.
Okay.
And the evidence is overwhelming that high-dose, broad-spectrum antioxidant therapy, when it's applied consistently for that full 3 to 6 month cycle.
The full maturation cycle.
Right. It can dramatically heal this damage. It can raise pregnancy rates. It is, at its core, repairable biology.
That's the hope we need. Okay, let's transition though. Let's unpack the science. Segment 1, the evidence stack. I want to go straight to the quantitative proof from the big randomized controlled trials. What's the consensus?
The synthesis of the major studies shows a highly consistent and powerful trend. These targeted antioxidant protocols can reduce sperm DNA fragmentation by a substantial margin.
And what does substantial mean in numbers?
We're generally seeing a drop somewhere between 20 and 50% in men who start with elevated levels.
Okay, let's zoom in on a specific trial because the results really paint a picture. There was one back in 2005, Greco and colleagues in Italy.
Yes, and that one was fascinating because the regimen was so simple.
Right.
They used just 2 common vitamins, but at very high doses. Men took 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C plus 1,000 milligrams of vitamin E. Every day.
For just 2 months.
Just 2 months. And the result, the fragmentation levels dropped. Dramatically. From an average of about 22% down to just over 9%.
So that's almost a 60% reduction in DNA damage.
59% to be exact. It's huge.
But the number is one thing. What was the clinical outcome for the couples?
That's the real payoff. The clinical pregnancy rate for those couples effectively doubled after the men finished that short protocol.
Wow.
It was early, clear proof that cutting oxidative stress translates directly into better outcomes.
Okay, so then we have the more recent, more comprehensive trials, like the one from the Cleveland Clinic, Kopets and colleagues.
Right, and they used a much broader, high-dose, multi-antioxidant protocol over 90 days.
What did they find?
Similar dramatic results. They saw the average SDF level drop from a very high 38% all the way down to 19%, so cut in half.
That's incredible.
But here's the statistic that should really stand out to you, to the listener. They focused on couples with a history of failed ICSI cycles.
So couples for whom the standard high-tech fertility treatments weren't working.
Exactly. And after the man completed this antioxidant protocol, 68% of those couples achieved an ongoing pregnancy.
68%. In a group that was previously failing. That completely shifts the paradigm.
It does.
It suggests their underlying issue wasn't the ICSI technique itself, it was the quality of the genetic material going in.
Precisely. And when we zoom out and look at the broader evidence, the 2020 Cochrane Review, which is, the gold standard for this kind of thing, it basically solidified this position on a massive scale.
What was the headline finding from that review comparing antioxidants to a placebo?
The conclusion was that using antioxidants led to a 4-fold increase in the live birth rate compared to the placebo group.
A 4-fold increase.
A 4-fold increase. That's not a small margin. That tells us this isn't some optional add-on. For many couples, this is a foundational treatment. The evidence is just. It's too strong to ignore.
Which brings us perfectly into segment 2.
Yeah.
We know it works. Now we need to know how. The complexity of these protocols tells me you can't just, grab a generic multivitamin off the shelf.
No, absolutely not.
So let's build the arsenal.
Yeah.
What are the specific compounds and what are the doses?
Right. To really neutralize those free radicals and repair the damage, you need a broad spectrum approach. Different antioxidants target different parts of the sperm cell. We have to start with the vitamin C and E partnership.
They work together, right? Synergistically.
They do. So vitamin C is water soluble. At that effective dose of, say, 1,000 to 2,000 milligrams, always split, it directly neutralizes free radicals in the seminal plasma.
So it's like the fluid cleanser.
It's the fluid cleanser. And then vitamin E at 400 to 800 IU is fat soluble. It embeds itself in the sperm membrane. Its job is to prevent something called lipid peroxidation,
Which is when the free radicals attack the fatty cell wall.
and eventually get to the DNA inside. So C cleans the fluid and E reinforces the walls.
Makes sense. Okay, what about coenzyme Q10?
OQ10, and you really want the ubiquinol form, which is more absorbable.
At what dose?
Around 200 to 400 milligrams. It's critical for 2 reasons. One, it fuels the mitochondria. That's the engine in the tail. It drives motility.
Okay, so it helps it swim.
But just as importantly, CoQ10 is vital for reducing damage in the head, where the DNA is. You need the energy, but you also need to protect the cargo.
Then we have the carnitines. I see L-carnitine and acetyl L-carnitine often used together.
Yes, combined, you're looking at a total dose of around 3,000 milligrams. They're absolutely critical. They transport fatty acids into the mitochondria for energy.
So they're like the fuel carriers.
They're the fuel carriers, but studies have also specifically proven they help lower SDF levels. So they boost energy and actively reduce genetic damage.
Now, astaxanthin, this is the one that really stands out in the sources for its sheer potency.
It's a true heavy hitter. Dosed at 12 to 16 milligrams, it's noted to be up to 500 times stronger than vitamin E.
500 times.
But here's the why that matters. Astaxanthin is one of the few antioxidants that can cross the blood-testis barrier.
Why is that so important?
Well, most of the damage actually starts during sperm maturation, while the cells are developing inside the testes behind that barrier. Most antioxidants can only clean up the final product.
The seminal fluid.
Right. Astaxanthin gets inside the workshop. It protects the DNA from damage right where it begins. That's a huge advantage.
Okay, and to round out the protocol, the minerals.
Yeah.
Zinc and selenium. They sound basic, but their functions are highly specific here.
Very specific. Zinc at 30 to 50 milligrams is essential for the enzymes that literally repair damaged DNA strands. It's also central to testosterone synthesis.
But there's a safety note here.
A critical one. High-dose zinc has to be balanced with about 2 to 3 milligrams of copper. If you don't, the zinc will deplete your copper stores. This balance is not optional.
That's a vital takeaway for anyone listening. And selenium.
Selenium, usually 200 micrograms, is vital because it boosts an enzyme called glutathione peroxidase.
And that is.
The sources identify it as the body's master antioxidant in semen. So these minerals, they're the cofactors that let the whole system run efficiently.
That list is huge. I mean, zinc, copper, carnitines, ubiquinol. How realistic is it for someone to actually manage all of that every day?
That is a fundamentally important question, and that's what we're moving into in segment 3, the logistics. And the answer is that success relies entirely on a structured, aggressive, and split dosing schedule. You cannot get these results taking one pill in the morning.
So walk us through that. Why is split dosing, taking things in the morning and evening, so key?
It's purely about maintaining therapeutic levels in the body. Water-soluble compounds like vitamin C clear out of your system really fast. Okay.
If you take all 2,000 milligrams at once, you get a huge spike and then almost nothing for the next 16 hours. Split dosing ensures the sperm are protected 24/7.
Give us a quick breakdown then. What does a successful split 3-month protocol actually look like?
So in a sample protocol, The morning would focus on core energy and the high-dose basics. So 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, 400 IUs of vitamin E, 200 milligrams of ubiquinol.
Plus the minerals.
Plus the minerals, so your zinc, copper, your selenium, and the L-carnitine.
And the evening dose would round things out and bring in the specialized protectors.
Exactly. The evening dose includes the second 1,000 milligrams of C, the rest of the ubiquinol, the acetyl L-carnitine, plus other potent compounds. Things like NAC, which boosts that master antioxidant glutathione.
Astaxanthin, lycopene.
Right. These really help with regeneration and repair.
Let's just quickly clarify for our listener. NAC is N-acetylcysteine.
Correct. And it, along with lycopene, are just more highly effective antioxidants that help clear out all that cellular debris. And you're saying this isn't a one-size-fits-all list?
No, the sources stress that the final combination is always customized. It's based on the man's initial oxidative stress profile, which you find out from his specific test.
Which leads us to the testing. To know if you even need this, you need data. What test should you ask for?
You need a sperm DNA fragmentation test. They go by different names, SCSA, 2NL, the COMET assay, but their purpose is the same. They measure the actual percentage of sperm with broken DNA. You need that baseline.
It's your roadmap.
It is your roadmap to guide the protocol and then to measure the success later.
Let's circle back to the real-world impact. The clinics that have been using these aggressive targeted protocols since the late 90s, the results are just astonishing.
They really are. Across their patient base, the average drop in DNA fragmentation has been profound. They're seeing it go from an average of 37% all the way down to 16%.
That's a complete clinical reversal.
It is.
And for the couples who had already been through the pain and the expense of failed IVF or ICSI,
this is a statistic that I think provides the most hope. The reported success rate for those couples was a massive 78%, achieving a clinical pregnancy within 12 months of the man starting the protocol.
78%.
That number tells you that high SDF was very likely the unaddressed root cause of all their previous chronic failures.
And the sources even give success stories from levels that were once considered, basically hopeless.
Yes. They report dozens of healthy babies born to men whose initial SDF was over 40%. Historically, anything above 30, maybe 40% that was seen as the threshold of near impossibility, even with ICSI. These interventions just rewrite that prognosis.
So, wrapping up this deep dive, the main takeaway has to be that male reproductive health is highly plastic. It can respond, and respond dramatically, within that 3 to 6 month window.
Absolutely. You cannot afford to leave sperm health to chance. You can't assume a general vitamin is enough to fix a clinical condition like high SDF. The first step for you, the listener, is testing. Get that baseline sperm DNA fragmentation assay. The data is your roadmap.
The data guides the plan. But for our final thought, I want to go back to this really powerful idea from our source material. Every percentage point you lower sperm DNA damage is one step closer to holding your healthy baby. When we look at fertility, why is this specific micro-level factor, the DNA integrity, so much more important than just the count or the motility? What really stands out to you about the power of these specific antioxidants to influence success?
What stands out is that we have to differentiate between the delivery vehicle and the blueprint. Count and motility, that's about delivery. That's about getting the sperm to the egg.
Okay.
But DNA integrity is the blueprint for the new life. If that blueprint is highly fragmented, the embryo simply cannot develop successfully. It doesn't matter how fast or how numerous the sperm were.
Instructions are corrupt.
The instructions are corrupt. The true power of these specific high-dose antioxidants is that they act as cellular architects. They are fixing the core genetic material. They move beyond being general energy boosters to being specific repair agents. And that, right there, is why the live birth rates are so profoundly affected.